Good evening from the garden. We're having a rare overcast day, so we thought we would take this opportunity to film a video in the greenhouse, which so far has been too hot to film in. If you watched my video about my gardening goals for 2018, then you probably know that one of them was to do a cherry tomato trial. And in today's video I want to show you how the different varieties are doing and what our findings are so far. I got some suggestions from my viewers, so thank you very much for those, and I even got seeds from one of my viewers, which was really nice. It is quite a modest trial. I only sowed 6 varieties and out of those only 5 germinated. But even so, it's interesting to see, to compare them. I sowed all of my plants of all of my varieties on the 9th of March, which is the time that I usually sow, around the second week of March. And I planted them earlier than usual because normally I would wait till the second week of May, but we are having a very warm weather and no frosts were forecast, so I took a chance and I planted them at the end of April. However, I had 2 plants of each variety and I kept one of them at home so that in case they would be killed by frost, I had a plant to replace the variety. We were lucky, there were no frosts and no plants were killed, so I could give all the spare plants to my mother and we planted them together in her garden in the Czech Republic, and there they're grown outside against a sunny wall. So during our summer holiday we'll have a look at those plants and compare them to our results here in the greenhouse. The early planting and unusually warm spring also meant that we had our first ripe tomatoes much earlier than usual. We harvested the first ones around mid-June and normally it's about 2 weeks later. The first ripe fruits came from this variety, which is Sungold, and it was also the one that was probably most recommended. And it's many people's favorites because of its good taste, very sweet, juicy, very early. The plants are vigorous, the trusses are a good length. This is not a very good example because usually they're even longer. And there are quite a lot of trusses. We have already harvested the first one completely and the second one here halfway. So this is definitely one that I'll be growing in the future again. The second variety here is black cherry, an old favorite of mine because it's really good sweet and the fruits are nice dark color. And unlike Sungold, which is a hybrid, this is an old heirloom open pollinated one, so I saved my seeds. This plant was grown from seeds that we saved from last year. You can also see the plant is vigorous. The trusses are usually at least 12 fruits, and here you see one that is even larger, it's split. And also definitely a variety that I'll be growing again. Just to compare the sizes next to the Sungold. Next one is even larger than, slightly larger than black cherry, and it's a variety called Sunchocola, and this is seed that I got from one of my viewers, so thank you very much. The color is not as dark as black cherry, it's more reddish brown, and it is also a modern hybrid. It's supposed to be an improvement on an heirloom variety called Chocula, which I do not know, so I don't know how much improved it is. The trusses are a bit smaller, but the fruits are larger, and they also started ripening quite early. We have already harvested quite a few here. The taste is great, sweet and juicy. So I think also one that I would like to repeat. Behind here I have a variety called Superweet, which has much smaller fruits, and the trusses are, I think, also about 12 fruits. They're quite long. The taste is also good, but you can see that the plants are clearly less vigorous and the trusses are quite sparse, so I think in terms of productivity we'll get much lower yield from this one. However, since I'm only growing one plant, it's difficult to say whether it's the variety or whether it's just this plant. Here is the ripe one, so you can see they're red and quite small, especially compared to, I don't know, compared to Sunchocola here. You see they're much smaller. And also it is a hybrid variety, which means I won't be able to save my own seeds, so I'm not sure I will try to repeat this one. Here's another variety that does not seem super vigorous. It's called Sweet Aperitif, and also the size of the fruits is comparable. The taste is also good, but the plant is the smallest one of all my tomato plants, so we'll see how well it does. However, the trusses are a little closer together, I would say, and I'm letting it branch in order to increase the yield a bit, so I'll have to put a twine to this one. The good thing about this one is that it's not a hybrid, so I'll be able to save my own seeds, so I think I will give it a chance next year and see whether it does better. The last variety that I want to show you is called Roemello. It's a miniature Roma tomato. It was also very early, about the same. The first fruits were ripe around the same time as Sungold, so that means mid-June. But it was an oversight on my part. This is not an indeterminate variety. All the others are, but this is a bush variety, which means it will stop. It stops growing, and it will not give us. It will not yield for such a long time. However, it has really big trusses. It seems to be quite good yielding, and it should be resistant to late blight, so also suitable for growing outside. Unfortunately, it is a hybrid variety, which means I won't be able to save my seeds. I still have some left in the packet, so I will be growing this one again because I really love it. I love the variety it gives me compared to the other tomatoes, and also how early and productive it is. So this was a short video about the varieties that we're growing this year. So far I'm loving the diversity and I'm very happy with the yields we're having, but we'll possibly do an update later in the season to look into the disease resistance and the overall performance of the plants over the whole season. If you're growing any of these varieties and you have a different experience, please let me know in the comments. And if there are other varieties that you think I should be growing next year, let me know as well. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. Happy gardening!